All right, it's 4:30. Miss Judy's wandering away, and we'll ask her to wander back. This is Public Safety Committee meeting. I'm not in Guthrie anymore. Anyway, so it is 4:30. We're going to start our meeting. Miss Judy, would you like to make approval of the agenda? Pardon me? No, ma'am, you don't need the box.
Thank you.
Just the microphone.
Golly,
And all of our counselors are here, just so you know, ma'am. Thank you.
it's dusty. Ugh. Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the March 16th, 2021 Public Safety Agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, so I have a first, I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, so let's move on to the approval of the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the, oh, you can look at you.
I'll take you.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the Public Safety Committee meeting on February 16, 2021.
Okay, I have a motion. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We're good. Let's rock on. So we're going to do our first regular item. Consider the new dispatch software purchase from the sole source vendor.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you for being here during the dust storm. I'll open this one up real quick, just so you have some information on it. Mrs. Best will get up here and talk to you and show you a quick video on this software. This is kind of a different situation we're in here. We believe they are a sole source vendor. However, we had to post that information on the state website for 30 days, just in case there is another vendor out there that offers the same thing. So that 30 days will not be up until I believe it's the 19th, or I'm sorry, 14th of next month, which will be after the city council meeting. So after the presentation, and we'll answer any of your questions you may have, the motion should be to, if you choose to approve this, the purchase of it pending the state's approval of the sole source vendor. But that'll be, like I said, after the next city council meeting before we find that out. So if it goes to full council, then we'll ask that same statement be made that pending their approval. So with that said, I'll bring up Ms. Best and she can go through the demonstration real quick on this new software.
Miss Best, how are you? I am blessed. I looked at this agenda and I thought, what do I have to offer? Because your name's there, and I'm thinking not many Best are around. I'm like, what do I have to offer? I'm not quite sure what I know about this. So since I don't know, guess what? It's your turn. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me here. I wanted to give you a little demo of what it is that we're proposing to buy. This is a system that I've used since, thank you, since I was first certified in 1999. So I've got a lot of experience with it, and we did a sole source on this. There are other vendors that offer this type of call structure. Structured call taking is what they call it, but they don't have what Priority Dispatch has. Priority Dispatch has a board and a college of fellows, and they back their protocols with scientific research and evidence-based protocols. The other vendors have protocols, but they're internal and they're agency designed. So they don't have the backing that this company does. And this is an international company. So once we have these protocols, we'll be able to be measured against international standards for compliance and performance. I'm sorry, my voice is going. So what I wanted to do is show you a quick demo of the police, fire, and then I'm going to show you a cardiac arrest. These are actual 911 calls. The biggest advantage this software is going to give us is the safety of our officers, the safety of our responders, because there are questions that are they're called critical questions that have to be asked that the dispatchers won't forget to answer. When a dispatcher's under a lot of stress, sometimes they forget to ask, is there a weapon, things like that. This provides them a source where they won't do that. It'll be right in front of them. Another advantage it'll give us is the biggest thing with the recruits. As you know, we've been struggling with our recruits. A common complaint from recruits is, I can't do this, I'm going to kill somebody. This gets them through that because it spells it out for them. So I'm going to let the software speak for itself. Jeff, if you'll play the police demo.
For 136 Cherry Drive, the Metaphor building. 136 Cherry Drive, southeast. What is the phone number you're calling from, please? 52821. That's right. And your name? Can you tell me exactly what happened? Somebody came in with a note demanding some morphine to the pharmacy, and they've now gone. They wanted 100 milligrams of morphine in a bag. Don't be a hero, I have a gun, is what the note says. And I pushed the emergency button, but I don't know whether it got through or not. So you have officers that are being held that way right now. I have further questions for you, okay? Okay. Are you on scene now? Yes, I am. Okay, when did this occur? Within the last 4 minutes. And there was the implication that there was a gun? The note actually says he has a gun. Okay. Where's the weapon now? I imagine he took it out with him. Okay, are you in immediate danger? No. Okay, tell me if you feel unsafe at any time. Is anyone else in immediate danger? No. Okay, where's the person responsible now? He ran out on the street. Okay, how did he leave? On foot. What direction was he last seen going? Going up Cherry Drive towards the mall. Do you know where he's going? No, I don't. Okay, I need to get his description. What is his race? Caucasian. White, and it was a male? Yes. What was he wearing? Green overall, black toque with snow design on the toque. Black toque. Okay, how old do you think he was? I'm guessing late 20s. I need to get his build. How tall was he? 6'2". And what about build? How he's thin, medium, or large? Slim. Slim build? Mm-hmm. Okay. I just want to beg you, do you have officers headed that way? Do you know what color his hair was? He had the toque over it. So okay, so you couldn't see any exposed hair? No. Where are you right now? I'm still in the pharmacy in the medicine shop. Okay, and what was taken? MS Haunted 100. Okay, so there was medications taken? Yes, it's a morphine. Is there anything else taken? No. Is anyone injured? No. Okay, do not disturb anything there at the scene, including if there's any weapons, tools, or objects that are found nearby. If it's safe to do so, lock the doors. Okay, and come back to the phone. Okay.
Okay, so that's the police demo. So the concern that's often brought up is that's a long time to get a call dispatched. The call was actually dispatched at the very beginning of the call. So I forgot to tell you that in the beginning. So a dispatcher with what we have now has to choose a point where they hit that save button and it sends out to the MCTs, sends to the dispatchers. This does it automatically at the same point that the chiefs of that department have dictated. So I'll do a lot of background work with the chiefs to find out what type of response they want, if they even want a response. This will help with civil matter issue that we've had because it'll help us refer those calls. On the left-hand side is what the dispatcher is getting real time as the questions are answered. On the right-hand side is what the MCTs, the officers are getting real time. As the questions are answered, it's dropping information into their MCT, which I know they're driving, but the information's going out real time. Any questions at this point? I'm going to show you a fire and a medical real quick.
I think my first question is, the fire department has ratings for the insurance.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have that with this dispatch? Do we have?
This actually helps with that because it cuts down the time, the dispatch time.
Okay, so is dispatch with the fire department on that insurance, or is it
We're
separate?
part of their ISO inspection. We have our own piece of that, and yes, ma'am, this will help us keep our rating in that. It's actually a specific piece in their
Okay.
ISO rating.
Okay. Any other questions so far? Nope. Okay, so let's move on.
This is the fire demo.
911, what is your emergency? I think my house is on fire. Okay, what's the address we need to send the fire department to? 5107. Okay, repeat that address so I'm sure I have it correct. 5107. Okay, what's the telephone number you're calling from? 342. Repeat that phone number in case we're disconnected. 342. Okay, what's your name? Kelly. Okay, tell me exactly what happened. I just got back from the store, I opened up the door and smoke started pouring out, and smoke's coming out of the windows too. Okay, are you at that location now? Yes. What type of building is involved? It's a house. It's a one-story branch-style house. Okay. Is anyone trapped inside the building? No, I'm the only one that lives there. Okay. Is anyone injured? No. Okay, I'm sending the fire department to help you now. Stay on the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do next. I'm going to stay on the line with you as long as I can. If it's safe to do so, I want you to assign someone to guide the emergency crews into the general areas. Okay. And I don't want you to approach or enter any of the dangerous areas, okay? Okay. All right, if anything worsens in any way, just let me know and tell me when the firefighters get there. Okay.
That, I know it's hard to see, but that entire call took less than a minute. And if there's a lot of wording there that you're seeing. If
You will
it doesn't
notice that
apply-
during the explanation segments of this CD,
It's okay. If a statement or a question doesn't apply, they just skip it, or if the caller has already given that information, they just enter it and keep going. So
Okay.
they don't have to re-ask.
So right now, we don't have that. They have to have their brain on
ma'am.
to ask all these questions or look at a notebook or something like that.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
pops it up, you ask it, if you don't need it, you move on.
Yes, ma'am. We don't have a structured call-taking process right now.
Okay.
We just have really good dispatchers.
Exactly. That's probably a dying breed at this point. Miss Judy, you have anything? Miss Angela? Is your mic on?
It goes automatically, because it's, like you said, the first one seemed like a lot of questions,
Yes,
you know,
ma'am.
but since you already send it out, I think that's awesome. You can keep them calm and a lot, you know, when you're in the middle of a stress, so the questions aren't, I think that's going to be
Yes,
something
ma'am.
awesome, an
That's-
awesome tool.
That's a lot of people's concern when you move to structured call-taking, because they think I have to answer all of these questions before I send. That's not true with this system. It is true with some, but with this one, you can force through a dispatch, or, but this one, it's got a high send point, and a lot of that's dictated by the department. At what point does the department want to be dispatched? So
So you almost build it.
I'm
You
not going to
almost
say
build
you
your
build it,
questions in.
because it's, again, you have to stay within the international standards, but there are a lot of things that the department heads are going to have to help me with send points, with what type of responses they want, whether we can design into this that a PSA can be sent on it, and it'll automatically tell your dispatchers, so that'll help with my training, so they won't be so.
Okay.
So stressed.
So I can see you building, more into it than what's nationally recommended.
Yes, ma'am. And one example I gave was, we have a lot of propane tanks around here.
Yes, ma'am.
There's not a question on the structure fire for propane. We can add that in there.
Correct.
So we can
That would be
tailor
a
it.
wise one to add.
We do.
Abandoned
We do.
vehicles and things
So
like that.
we can add that in there. This next demonstration, it's not a melodramatic one, because it's a bystander call. It's a cardiac arrest call where someone suffered a sudden out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, which our response times are excellent. However, they're about 3 minutes,
Less than
3, 4 minutes, less than 3. So we are fantastic when it comes to responses. However, for every minute CPR is not performed, the survivability decreases by 10%. So if we can get hands on chest very quickly, we can save lives in Roswell and Chaves County. My record for my accredited center that I had before, and I'm still very proud of it, 17 seconds from recognition of cardiac arrest to hands on chest. And that
Wow.
person walked out of the hospital 2 days later.
Nice.
We can save lives with this. So every one of them is important, but this is where the dispatcher can make the biggest difference.
Okay.
New Hampshire 911, what is your emergency? I am on Alton on Rand Road, right next to the Bay Church. Okay. And I have a friend of mine who's fallen over, and he's not responding to me, and his eyes are open. Jim. You're calling from 651-7628? Yes. Tell me exactly what happened. Jim, well, he complained of feeling, oh, he looks terrible, send somebody now. He's purple, what do I do? Okay, how old is he? He's 51. Okay, is he awake? No. Is he breathing? I don't think he is. Jim, he's not responding. Okay, is there a defibrillator available? No. Okay, Sending the Alton ambulance to help you now. Okay, stay on the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do next. Are you right by him now? I'm rocking him. Once in a while, he'll take a break. Okay, listen carefully, okay? Yes. Mm-hmm. Lay him flat on his back on the ground and remove any pillows. Then we're going to give him chest compressions, okay? I'm going to tell you how to help him. Okay. Place the heel of your hand on the breastbone in the center of his chest. Yes. Right between the nipples. Put your other hand on top of that hand. Okay. Now you're going to pump the chest hard and fast at least twice per second. Yes? Okay, we're going to do this 600 times until help can take over. Let the chest come all the way up between the pumps. Count out loud so I can count with you. Okay? It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. And I'm pushing every time? Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If someone else is there, have them pick up the phone.
Oh, you can call him?
No, I have to wait in line if you talk to her.
Hello?
I hear this is 911. The ambulance has been notified, okay? If she gets too tired, sir, are you able to take over?
I have somebody else doing it right now.
Okay, great. Make sure they're doing it fast enough. 1, 2,
Yep.
3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, buddy, you can do it. We're here. Rescue is here right now.
Oh, they are? Make sure they don't stop until
Look, keep going until you get here.
You guys are doing great. Thank you so much for helping out. Okay, is rescue taking over?
Okay, I'm going to let you go, ma'am, okay?
Okay, they're taking over. I'll let you go, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That is how our typical cardiac arrest would go. We'll get them going good, and then the fire department will swoop in to save the day.
That's nice, that, especially the counting, that way they don't lose it when they're asking other questions, it's
Yes,
there in front
ma'am.
of them.
And the depth of compression and the rate are two of the things that are most important with cardiac arrest.
Correct.
So, with that, that's the end of my demo. I stand for any questions.
Any questions? I don't see any, okay,
Madam Chair, I'll just add to that this is budgeted in their current budget.
okay,
Uh,
perfect.
I know that'll be a question, so Terry has that in her current budget.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
From the time we go to council, would we be seeing I don't know, how do you know?
I am hoping that the entire process would take about 4 to 6 weeks because we have to be all certified in both disciplines. The state has indicated that they're going to sponsor us in a grant for 2022 with the medical, so we probably won't be able to get started until that point. We could pay for it and be reimbursed and get it done a little quicker, but I'll cross that bridge with you when and if we have that option. But from the time of purchase and I get everything going, probably 4 to 6 weeks, because they're going to come on site and certify all of us. Going forward, I am actually an instructor in this system, so we'll work towards having it in-house from then on for turnover.
That's twice as nice, having an instructor. Awesome.
And Madam Chair, I just add, as you can see from that, there's a lot of questions that the dispatchers have got to try to memorize and try to keep track of, whether it's a shooting, shoplifting, or cardiac arrest, whatever. So this is putting that information. I know it's kind of difficult to see on the demonstration there, but it's depending on what they first type in there, medical call, whatever, patient not breathing, it's automatically generating those questions for them. So at some point, like you said, currently, how it is, and correct me if I'm wrong, once they get identified as a medical call, they'll hit pre-alerts, they'll say medical call at such and such address, the crews are getting on the truck, they're heading out, they're gathering more information as they're going, they're gathering that information. This will work the same way, only it's telling them what questions they need to ask. It's putting it in the MDT, the units in the trucks. Police officers are able to read that information right as they're typing it in. So they're getting real information right from the dispatcher's fingers as it's happening. So it's very exciting, the opportunities and the potential of what it can do here.
Okay. Jason, did you have anything? Counselor Jason Perry has joined us, so. Miss Judy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we have the same question. I understand that, and I'm assuming it's the city that has budgeted this, and the abstract says for fiscal year 2020. I'm assuming that's 2021?
Yes.
Okay, you need to change. And then this agreement is with the Pecos Valley Regional Communications Center. So is the county budgeting money for this as well, or is this the total amount?
County pays 40% of all operation costs for the EVRCC. So this is part of the operational cost. They'll pick up the 40%.
40% of the 217,000? Or is this 60%?
So they pay 40% of my entire operating budget, so I have a bottom line figure. That 215 or 17 is figured into that bottom line figure. So by paying 40% of my operating budget, they will in essence have paid for 40% of the software. Does that make sense? I budgeted it into my operating expenses, of which they pay 40%.
So they will be paying 40% of the 217?
Yes, ma'am, and what when they cut that check for my expenses for the quarter, it's part of.
Comes out of that? Okay, okay. And I'm assuming the same with the attachment A, where it talks about there's an additional 27,000 each of the next.
Yes, ma'am, that's
4
the
years.
annual. That's the annual maintenance, the software maintenance and licenses, and that will be part of the operating budget going forward. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we obviously can't budget ahead of time, so we're taking an assumption here, I guess, that you'll be able to budget this money for the next.
I may not be explaining it well.
It's all right.
So my entire budget that I present to the city, we are reimbursed by the county for 40% of it.
Right.
So this 217,000 is part of my operating expenses.
Right.
So and I've basically already requested them budget for it because they will pay 40% of my entire budget.
Right, I understand that.
So going forward, when I present my budget, they pay 40%. It's not something they have to approve through the commission.
Okay.
I may not be saying that.
No, I understand that, but
I think Councilor Stubbs, your questions on the 27,000 each year going forward.
Yes.
It's the same way with our IT department. All our software for all our departments, we budget that every year. So we know what that software updates and hardware and things are that we need for the following year, and we'll just build it into every year's budget.
okay, so we're aware, because if we accept this agreement, that we've got 27,000 to budget
Right.
each of the next years.
Right.
Okay. That, I think, did we have anything else, Jason? Counselor Perry? Did we have anything else?
No, that was, you asked the questions I would have been asking, so that helps me understand.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question. Mr. Jeff is our IT man. Is he going to also learn this so when they are not available, he can go over and repair what needs to be repaired, or they'll talk on the phone and he'll repair it? Do you do that? Do the dispatchers do that just because they think they can? So give me a little insight there.
It's set up where their IT isn't, and I'm above my expertise here, but it's an FTP server for upgrades and updates. So he'll be in contact with their technology.
Yeah, we'll put you up here up front. We'll let you come up front for once.
The way it works is that $27,000 a year is their annual support and maintenance. And if there's something wrong, we'll work directly with them. So if they have a problem, they'll call us, and if we need to go further, we'll contact their support and work
Okay,
with them.
so you're the hands-on, and when they go through the training, you'll go through the training too,
Yes, ma'am.
plus some?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Anybody else? Everybody's done? Okay.
No, could I'm sorry.
Sure, rock
Ask
on.
another question. The Pecos Valley Regional Communications Center is the one who was signing the agreement. And can you they're doing that on behalf of the city?
Yes, ma'am. And that's due to that 40-60% split.
So who then has to comply with the agreement? The city and the county, or again, the Pecos Valley Communication? Okay,
PVRCC is the city and the county agencies, representatives from those two
right.
agencies. So it's both of us at 60%, the county at 40%.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All the questions are answered. Okay, so I need a motion for this to go to full council, unless we're going to do consent. Mike, what would you like?
And I would just say in the motion, if we could do contingent on the state approving the sole source.
Okay, you want it to go to consent, or you want it to go all the way?
No.
No? Which one? No to which one?
That's totally up to the committee.
I'd play with fire and send it consent, but. Okay, so who wants to make the motion?
I'd like to make a motion to send to full council for the new dispatch software purchase from the sole source vendor pending state approval, guideline approval, was those the word? And send it to full council.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Okay. All opposed, same sign. That goes to full council. Full council. Okay, number 3, discussion traffic study by engineering. Mr. Nahar. Welcome to my meeting instead of infrastructure.
Madam Chairman, committee, Councilor Perry. Following up from, we were here in January, I believe it was here in January, for, listen to the citizens concerning complaints at Wyoming and Alameda. Streets Department did go and put some barricades at that other T intersection that did not have a barricade, and you can see that in your picture on page 19. That's Alameda westbound, right when you get to T intersection of Wyoming. We also put in some the radar camera devices out there. And on that top picture, you can actually see a guy speeding, because that red sign that you see, that's the radar sign going off that you're speeding. And even though I was outside taking pictures, and they just zoom on by, and that's what happens. So we've put out the counters, we put out the radar. On page 20 of your handout is a sample readout. So if you can go down your left column, go down to 2021, February 22nd at 7 o'clock, and you'll see that we had 141 vehicles, 69 going over the 5-minute buffer, 5-mile-an-hour buffer that we gave. The maximum speed limit between 7 and 8 was 43 miles an hour. That's the column, fourth column from the very right end. But if you look up, and between 5 and 6 and 6 and 7, we actually had speeders that were going 52 and 55. And then if you look down to 1700 hours, which is 5 o'clock, probably the same people going the other direction, 132 vehicles, 62 vehicles going over the speed limit. Even though the average speed limit was 29, what was registered, we still had the highest speeder at 43 miles an hour. And we do pick up a couple 99, so we don't know if those are the people that are playing games trying to get the high score or what they're trying to do.
Well, it looks like during the hours they're trying to get to work or school or something like that, and they're behind and didn't wake up early enough to compensate.
So that's just a sample of the data. This same neighborhood watch group, which has been pretty active over the years, has contacted Sergeant Grace Fresquez. She did contact me. I did send her the full reports because it's like 20 pages. So she has it if she wants, and suggested she just look it over and see the hours and the days that would be most productive for PD. And again, I volunteered with Sergeant Fresquez if they have any kind of get-togethers or Q&A sessions that I've attended those in the past. Go have donuts, go have chili dogs, whatever they want to do, and just answer questions. But, I mean, that's what we do with our traffic studies. I've already got a request to move my radars to 8th Street and Enchanted Hills. Those complaints are resurfacing again.
On Moore Street and over in that area?
Well, 8th Street's right now the other one, but just wanted to follow up. As an engineer, I can put up signs, make sure we have plenty of signs, put up the radars for a while, but people get used to them, and it's only a temporary fix.
Correct.
And I stand for any questions.
Do I have any questions from anybody? Judy? Angela?
Did you talk to the gentleman that came? Have anyone reached out back to
I
him?
haven't talked to the family.
Yeah, that's what
I haven't talked to the family, but I do understand that that family is part of the neighborhood watch. And I can either contact the family, or I can just send an email to Sergeant Frescas and let her follow up with the neighborhood watch. And I know one of the guys, a guy that lives at the northeast corner of Alameda in Wyoming, he did call my office, and he actually said, thank you for putting the radars up. By his estimation, it's helping.
It's helping.
But I told him, they're just there for a little bit. I'm going to another complaint.
So we have our traveling speed
Right.
signs. Is this the one that you have here? It looks like it's just on the phone pole.
Yeah, we just put it on the phone pole, just temporary, we just strap it to it.
Okay. And we do have the traveling ones that.
Well, that is a traveling one.
Okay. I thought they were on trailers, but I may.
No, we didn't buy the trailers. We
Okay.
bought the ones that we can strap to poles or strap to
Okay.
posts that are already up.
Okay. And I assume there's speed limit signs somewhere around there?
Yeah, there'd be a speed limit from where I'm shooting at the camera right behind me.
Okay. Chief Smith,
I'm-
I'm going to put you on the, oh, you have another question for Mr.
Yeah,
Nahar?
I was just asking that if somebody would, to the people, I was saying for the people the guy that took the time to come, I think it would be nice for somebody to take the time to go tell them what you've done and what you're.
I'll reach out to them, Council.
That's just me, I don't know, I'm not saying, that's not to tell somebody, but I think it would be a nice gesture.
I
for
can do that.
someone. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Chief Smith, since we have such a timed event here, can we put maybe somebody that's sitting there either coming off or going on? And then also, I'm a great believer in distractions with police cars sitting without somebody in them or a dummy in them or something like that. And I know the fire department loves those cars to tear them up with their jaws of life, but do we have one or two that may be sitting around that we could use as decoys?
Well, the problem with the decoy is if you leave it unattended, it usually gets vandalized or attacked or whatever, and it doesn't take long, is my point, for them to realize that it's not attended. I've had personal conversations, Councilor Moore, with the people involved over there. I've driven by over there. They're wonderful people. They have a legitimate complaint. The problem that we have is the normal traffic flow does not go very fast over there. It's an anomaly because it's almost like coming into a T street, if we're talking about the same thing. And it's clearly marked, and I mean, basically, only somebody who is clear of their faculties is somebody who goes through and hits their fence. But they've been hit so many times, it leaves us in a tough spot. My traffic units have been up there. They've been told to make sure their presence is known and circulate around there. I did bring it up. We had discussion about the decoy idea. I think it's a neat idea. Unfortunately, the history here in Roswell is it doesn't turn out well for the decoy vehicle after a short period of time. And I don't know if I have a vehicle I want to set up there to kind of be a bait car to get destroyed.
Well, I just put 220 volt on it and go from there. I mean.
There's a lot of great ideas out there. There's a lot of great ideas. But I just wanted to clear up a couple of things. Number one, I have had contact with them. And it's the son. The parents came in on the son's behalf. It's his house. And he's had a couple of instances where they've hit the fence or they've gone through the yard. And like I said, it's kind of an anomaly, but it's happened enough to make somebody concerned, and I definitely sympathize with them.
Okay, so, good. Miss Judy, you okay?
Thank you.
Mr. Perry, are you okay? Okay, so this was just to discuss, so we don't need any motion to go anywhere. This is just a discussion. Mr. Nahar is going to go contact the family and write him a nice note to let them know the city is working on it and will continue, and Chief will continue to put patrols out there and watch the traffic. And we know what time you people are going through there, so get up and go early to school. Okay, our next one is consider Resolution 20XX condemnations. Mr. Bartlett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilors, today staff is asking your approval to move forward to full city council approval of 4 separate properties that have been found to be either dilapidated, deteriorated, or inadequately maintained. Every attempt's been made to contact the owners with no compliance to date.
Okay. Do we have anybody want to ask more questions on those? Ms. Moore? Okay, Ms. Judy? Okay, I don't see anyone else. So I would like this, let's roll the dice and send this to consent agenda. What do you think? So I need a motion to go to consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the resolution requiring the removal and or demolition of certain damaged and dilapidated building structures or premises. They're actually, the 4, I guess, buildings, I should say. We recommend approval on the consent agenda.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second from Councilor Savino. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're all ayes. Okay, so it passes. Moving on to consent agenda. All right, let's consider amendments to Chapter 8. So I assume, Mr. Matthews, we're going to do our usual page by page, and we will start with page 26.
Okay. Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you, Mr. Patterson, for putting all this together. I would start with section 1, or 8-1, where it says erection of tents. We met this afternoon, going over it one more final time, looking at everything. We would recommend that we put erection of tents in non-permitted locations prohibited as the heading for that section, if the committee would consider that. Erection of tents in non-permitted locations prohibited.
Anybody else have a question on that? I'm good with that. Okay. So, C.
Okay.
Let's go on.
Does anybody have any other questions on that page?
I do, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, in section 8.1B, I would just like to see, after the comma, erect or use tents upon their property instead of his. That's line 25, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I'm questioning on line 36, where we're talking about public premises, and at the end of that statement in 1, it also adds the state of New Mexico or any other political subdivision thereof. So I guess my question is, by putting that language in there, are we looking at policing other owners' property, other local government's property, I guess is.
So this one particularly about removal of nuisances on public property, I think is, what's intended there, I think, is like if somebody sets up a tent in the middle of the road and if it's a state highway, we could still go and take it down off of there, even though it's not a city right-of-way, it's a state right-of-way. But yes, that would be the concept, is that we would be able to go, obviously with the permission of the state, that we wouldn't be able interfering with their occupation of that area.
So,
We
Madam
don't-
Chair,
Yeah, we don't have any state property in the city limits, do we?
state highway.
Well, other than that, of course, thinking rancher-wise, we have state property on the ranches, so are there any lots or anything in the city that are state properties?
We do, Madam Chair. At the Air Center, there are several lots there that belong to the state of New Mexico, and there's many state right-of-ways within the
Okay.
city boundaries.
So this makes sense to me then.
Is that?
The old hospital
Number
land
one,
by the
St.
old,
Mary's?
by the Elks Pool.
Oh, that property.
Is that what you're speaking of?
The old rehab hospital at
Yeah.
their center?
So then this, when we say, or any agency or political subdivision, we're talking about schools and I'm sure there are more, I can't think. But that's okay to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then on, I can barely read this, the last line, I think it's 45, number 3, personal properties, where it lists furniture, clothing, yada, yada. And I'm just wondering about animals. Where do animals enter into this?
If there's animals that are on a property, they're not with a owner of that animal, then animal control would be called in to pick them up.
Yeah, I would say that that's governed by a whole separate
Okay.
thing.
So it is taken care of somewhere else. That's it on that page. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody else good? Jason? You're just going to tell Judy? Okay. Okay, so let's go to page 27. I love the lines on here. Thank you so much for whoever did that. I like your haircut, too. Mr. Matthews?
We had nothing on page 27.
Sorry.
Miss Judy, go ahead.
I do. I'm so
Your-
sorry.
Your line number? No need to be
Okay.
sorry. That's why
I can
we're here.
barely see these line numbers, so thank you. But I think it's on line 6. And we're talking about shall be subject to summary removal. I don't know what that is.
Without further notice.
Why didn't you say that?
That's what summary means.
Okay, thank you. And then I'm down in section D that starts on line 17. I'm kind of questioning the order of these. Let's see. I think number 4, which is on line 27, a statement that the property will be removed, should be the first one in this list of 7.
Sure, I think we can move those around. They're not meant to be, this is the order they must appear in on the notice.
Right.
It's just, these are the things that must be in there. But yes, we could move
It just
that up.
reads better to me if that's there.
Yes.
And then I'm wondering about the second line there. It's on 23 and 30, number 5. To me, those say the same thing.
The location the property is currently in versus the location the property will be in after it's removed, I think is supposed to be the distinction there.
So for number 2, could we say the current current location of the property?
Yes, ma'am, we could put that, yes.
Okay, if that just says current, then that takes care of that. Let's
Right.
see. Move this up here. Okay, that's it on that page, thank you.
Okay, nothing else on page 27? Let's meander on over to 28. No, you have nothing?
Nothing on 28 from us?
Okay. Judy, do you have anything on
I
20?
do, thank you. Just a question again.
That's cool.
Line 10, where it talks about provided that the city may, and I realize it's may, require satisfactory proof of ownership or entitlement. Is that going to happen?
It could happen, Counselor. I mean, it could be say a registered ATV or a trailer, something like that.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, thank you. That's it there.
Okay. Everyone else good? So then we'll move on to page 29. Anything there, guys?
No, ma'am.
I
No,
see
ma'am.
a head shake of no. Miss Judy is a no. Angela is considering. Got anything on? Okay, that's a no also. Mr. Savino seems happy. That was it? No way. Okay.
And that completes camping number 8.
Half of them. That was painless.
So we could definitely make these changes, and if the committee so desires, it could be placed on the next agenda for a city council meeting if you choose to.
Okay, so do we want to bring it back to the committee, go over it one more time, then send it up to make sure we have all the dots and periods and?
You know my feeling that there's no emergency in this, and I'm all for, let's beat it up, and make sure we got everything. So if you would like, we could make a clean copy and include a clean copy and a red line copy for the next committee so that you can look at it to see what it would look like going forward along with the red line. We'd be glad to do
Now,
that.
let's do that. Aren't we presenting all of them at the same time?
That
Okay,
was
so
my
let's
desire.
do that, because we don't have anything else ready to go up yet, so.
Right.
Let's do the clean copy and a red line copy, and then bring it back next meeting, and we can just, yes, ma'am? Would you like your mic on? Your mic, please? Thank you.
On page 26, it is sleeping on public. Is there, okay, I guess because
What's
I'm
your
gonna-
line, please?
27.
27.
Thank you.
So if, I guess I'm going to be like a devil's advocate or something, so to speak. So could it be amount of time? What if I just fell asleep, or that's not going to cause any issues, or there's no time limits, it's just going to be no sleeping period, or should we have maybe include overnight, or should we include, I'm just asking, I'm just kind of thinking, outside the box, because I know sometimes there's someone I might, I saw the little boy, he was waiting on the bus and he fell asleep. So, I just, you know what I mean, he wasn't sleeping, but he was waiting on the bus literally and fell asleep. And so I thought about that when I just saw that. Is there an idea, maybe a time, or we just, what is our intent? I know what our intention is. I know it's about the homeless and those sleeping on the bench. I get that.
Madam Chair, Councilor Moore, the calls that we'll receive to code enforcement that would be that somebody is sleeping on a bench, they are actually sleeping on a bench. They're sprawled out, all their stuff is on the bench. Somebody that's sitting there waiting on the bus that falls asleep I
They
would
won't
be
get a call,
shocked if we ever get a phone call like that, or that we ever have gotten a phone call like that. The ones we do get calls on is in the morning when people's coming to work, or on a weekend when there's service downtown, and somebody takes over a bench and goes to sleep, lays out and takes the whole bench. Those are the complaints that we get.
Okay, we're good with that? Okay. Yes, ma'am, Miss Judy.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Mike and the gentleman that joined us when I thought I was just meeting with Mike to talk about this, because I think everybody had some valuable input, and I think this is great. Bless you. The question I have is, we had some discussion about camping on residential or personal property or whatever. I don't see anything in here. Is it somewhere else, or does it not need to be here?
What it states and let me find it real quick. Talks about camping on permitted camping sites, which would be the one that's permitted for a campsite right now is at the homeless shelter. Also, you have your RV parks like at College in Atkinson, where the RV parks, where people can actually go in. You could actually rent a RV spot, pitch your tent there overnight as you're traveling. That way they'd have electricity if they needed to plug in a fan or something during the summertime. Those are permitted places, but you wouldn't be allowed unless it had a permit.
But my point is, we talked about people allowing homeless to pitch a tent in their backyard.
It wouldn't be permitted.
It doesn't.
It's not a permitted
So it's covered in
location.
here
Right.
by just saying it has to be in a permitted area.
Where's it?
Okay.
What's that? Yeah, well, the very first, on page 26, line 22, unpermitted campsites are prohibited within the city limits. So if it's a
Okay.
residential neighborhood or a residential's home, the way it currently is written,
Okay.
if I tell somebody, oh, you can live in my backyard and pitch your tent in my backyard, it wouldn't be allowed because it's not permitted.
Because it's
It's
unpermitted.
Yes,
Okay.
unpermitted.
And section 2 there also talks about that no owner, agent, or occupant of any lot, parcel, piece of land shall permit any persons to construct, erect, or use tents on his property within city limits in violation of this section. So again,
Okay.
you can't invite someone to set up a tent in your
Okay.
backyard and live there.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was covered. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, and I'm going to assume that the kids can camp.
That's what I'm saying, live and camp is two
Yeah.
different things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir, Jason?
And I'm sorry, but it's just better for my questions, I guess, to get answered here than for y'all to get all this done than me having a council meeting.
Absolutely.
So when I read the word unpermitted, where is that defined? Because if for instance, I do know some business owners that have had someone that's just down on their luck that, they've allowed maybe to sleep on a bench outside of their business or something. They can say, they have my permission. I permit them to do so. So do we have a permitted defined as permitted by the city of or is that, I'm just trying to play a devil advocate here.
You would have if somebody was opening up, taking your example and kind of making it a little bit bigger, if somebody was going to allow somebody to camp in their backyard or put a tent up in their backyard, they're actually, and if they charge them,
Right.
which that has happened, I know in Hobbs, that was a big problem back in the 80s, was that people was just renting their backyards for the oil field workers to pitch a tent in and charge them $500 a month. There is a permit, a home occupation permit, a business license permit, so those would all cover under that.
Bed fee, I'm kidding.
Right.
And I think subsection B makes pretty clear that the permitting is not by the property owner themselves, because no property owner may permit any person to construct, erect, or use tents on his property.
But I go back to, this person doesn't have a tent. They just have a sleeping bag, or they just got a jacket, and they've been told they can stay on the patio and...
Go to sleep.
And I'm sure that happens every night in our community.
That's just where I'm going at, is because here, in the subsections that y'all had, like in number 2 of section 8.2, unlawful structure, and then in the B portion of section 8.1, it goes back to construct, erect, or use tents. So if the general desire of this ordinance is to not allow camping or outdoor living, if you would say, is I think what we're trying to, at some degree, get to with, and I'm trying to be as correct as I can be in this. But am I seeing some loopholes, or is that?
Well, I think it's kind of a line drawing issue, because that's really a policy question. How onerous do we want to be with this ordinance? I mean, if I invite someone to come sleep on my couch, or as you gave an example, to sleep in my, just sleep on my front porch, is the city going to prohibit that?
Right.
This particular one is about camping, like sustained sleeping in a particular location for a period of time. That's kind of what was, I think, addressed here. And then I think it's a question for the counselors, if you guys want us to put something in there that says that no person can sleep outside on personal property. But then again, we get into all these line drawing questions of what about can I let my son camp in the backyard for a night?
Sure. Right. My question is only because of clarity. I know how, from past experience with ordinance writing, that we do such a job, we try to make it what we need it to, and 2 weeks later, someone has found a way.
Right.
Yes.
To get around what you have desired to try to do. So that's just something maybe just to consider with some of that wording, and that's all.
Okay. Jason, I would like to thank you very much for using the system correctly and coming to the meeting with your concerns. Thank you. All right.
I have one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm still kind of concerned with this, because I struggle with, I've paid, I'm just using a number, the $100,000 for my property, and if I just struggle with what goes inside that fence, that y'all can say that I can't let somebody put a tent in I'm not saying live there for years or anything, but I'm just saying I struggle with, I pay taxes on that property that I couldn't let, Minister Perry come pimp a tent and sleep a couple of weeks in the backyard or something. So I really struggle with the concept of this being, maybe I'm thinking it's so tight that there's no room to, and I'm sure if someone came to you the right way or said something differently, but I really struggle with that, is that we're just in the boundaries. I'm telling what you can do in your backyard, not at the public place, I get that, or just randomly anywhere at the park, but you're trying to talk, you're saying what I could do at my house that I pay taxes for every year. I pay property tax. I pay, so why, so I'm struggling with this. I understand the purpose, like I said, for city places and streets and alleys and parks and all that, but at my house, I'm really struggling. I don't know
Well,
how else to say it any nicer.
And I'm kind of
struggling with that.
And I can understand that, but also your neighbor next door is paying their property taxes too, and they're not expecting to have 3 or 4 tents or even 1 tent in the backyard for months on end, weeks on end, and maybe, just maybe, the crime may go up next door for a little bit and then go back down. I don't know.
Right, that's the point. We don't know. That's why my concern is, and I'm not concerned with you doing over there on your fence unless it's effective, if they throwing all their trash in my backyard and I'm having to clean it or some of those things I might can see, but I feel like it's my backyard, and I guess maybe if there was a timeline or something, because I feel like, what's the difference is, okay, then you stay a week or whatever. Now, like I say, we can see months and years, I can see that, but I'm just struggling really hard, and I don't know what it's different about a car parked or, I'm like, it's inside my fence, I got my nice fence, so you can't see it's metal, whatever, you can't see what's going on back there. So I just really struggle with that, and I don't know how else to say it any other way. I think we just seem like we just, I don't know. The man is in the pocket, and I just feel like that's a lot for me to really think about how a group of 12 people can tell me what I can do in my backyard for.
So let's ask Mr. Bartlett. You've been here a while. So give us an example of somebody that's taken advantage of the system and someone's moved into a backyard and the neighbors have called and complained, but because that person's already camped out, what is it, 99% of the law, if you're already there, you can't move. And especially in today's world with COVID, once you're there, they
Yes, ma'am.
stipulate it.
A lot of this, counselors, are, and Madam Chair, I'm sorry, a lot of this is going on private property without permission, number one. A lot of times, we're not able to even contact the owner of, say, a vacant lot, so somebody moves in and they set up camp. This is helping us handle that situation, okay, when we're not able to contact the responsible party. But also, you're right. You own the property, you pay the taxes. And what code enforcement does is we have to walk that fine line in that, yes, we want to let you live. You have rights, but when your lifestyle is, like Counselor or Chairman Best said, when your lifestyle, or maybe somebody you've got camping in that backyard, is kind of imposing their lifestyle on the neighborhood, that's where the problems begin. And you've got them in tents, so a lot of times campfire will go along with those tents. A lot of times illegally run electricity will go along with those tents. A lot of time there's no facilities for them to use, so they happen to use the facilities, out of the tent, right back into the tent. And so, it's what comes along with it, the debris, the things like that, the hanging the laundry, things like that. I can tell you, we don't have problems with people just setting up camps in a backyard normally, in a home that's owned and occupied. It's normally an abandoned structure, it's normally a vacant lot, and 9 times out of 10, they don't have permission to even be there. So.
And that I understand, that's different. To me, that's different. Just like I said, I understand that. Just like I said, there's this random trailer just parked there, people are living there in the middle of just nowhere, and I know it's not their property. So I get that, but to my thing is kind of different when I own it, and I can see it causing, if it starts causing an issue, that makes a little sense, but if it's not, then why are you able to go look in my backyard and see that I have a tent there? Those kind of things, that's all. Like I said, and I'm okay, I'm just being picky, kind of thing, because I just kind of think you're going to get some kind of pushback, because you're coming in my backyard, next you're going to tell me I'm not going to be able to have a beer in my backyard, so I'm just kind of thinking that there's
Sure.
going to be some pushback a little bit about it.
And I can tell you, Counselor, zoning has, they have an ordinance in place to where, say you had an RV and your family wanted to come in from out of town and stay in that RV for 10 days. That's allowable a couple times a year. You just contact code enforcement or zoning, say, hey, I've got family coming in, I want to put them up in the backyard in the RV, and they will issue you a permit for that. So there's ways, we like I said, we want to let people live as well.
And Councilor Moore, let me just say, you have encapsulated the entire debate over land use regulation over the last 150 years. I mean, that is the central core of every single zoning restriction that's out there, is at where do we draw the line between that right to use private property and, you know, the effect on the surrounding community. That you hit the nail on the head. That's where we're at with every single one of these, is how do we figure out where that line is?
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I just had one other thing. Code enforcement isn't going to be out there looking over people's fences, looking for a tent. How they're going to get notified is that a neighbor or something is going to call them and say, hey, they're burning the campfire all night long. The smoke's coming through my evaporated cooler. I've talked to them. They won't put it out. That's how we're going to get involved in it.
Yeah. And like he was saying, that's why I got into city council in the first place, because they were messing with me on my private property. You're right. So I took control and I joined the group, and I didn't change anything, but now I understand better.
Thank you for taking the time for my questions.
Sure, that's why we're here. Miss Judy, do you have anything else for this?
No, thank you.
Okay, and Savino's good? Okay.
So, Madam Chair, we'll provide a clean copy and a red line copy version for the next Public Safety Committee meeting for a final review.
Yes, please.
Do you know, the only thing I'm concerned about is if we put this off until our April committee meeting, that means it doesn't go on for a public hearing until May and approved in June, and by then the weather's good and...
Well, but we also agreed that we weren't going to put the whole nuisance law on except together. Instead of separate votes for like Section 8, Section 16, we were all going to do it together. Am I correct?
And we still do have our ordinance in place, or that we're asking to change, that prohibits any type of camping. So it's not like we don't have that tool in our tool chest now to enforce on some of these situations.
Are we good with that, ma'am?
Sure.
Okay, so we're good with that. So we're going to bring that back next meeting. Now we're on 6, consider final red line version of 16. We'll zip through that, which seems to be a little bit thicker. One page at a time. So page 32, how are we looking? Anything on that? Judy shaking her head no. Miss Angela, you're good? Okay. Mike, did you have anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Page 33, is there anything from Mr. Mike?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Miss Judy? No. Miss Angela? Shaking her head no. Let's move on to page 34. Mike?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What line, please?
Line, we would propose on line 29 to add the verbiage, because this comes out of the planning and zoning ordinance, that we add that section, Article 52, Section 9, outside storage, as just a reference, so that we know, because it's stated the same verbiage in both planning and zoning ordinance and this here, so we want to just make
like a
reference
reference.
back and
Okay.
forth.
Easy way to get to the reference, so you didn't have to add more to this one. Sounds good to me. And that was 52?
Line 29, it was Article 52, Section 9,
Okay.
outside storage.
Okay. Any questions on that? I have to write slow because I can't read fast and I can't spell with beans, so. Okay, so page 34 is good?
No, I have
Yes, ma'am.
another question, thank you. This has been deleted from something we looked at several months ago, and that would actually be D, or somewhere around line 24, and that was just one line: all properties must have a valid solid waste service account. Did we delete that for a reason?
Where was that?
I see Parker shaking his head yes.
We did, but I think that Mr. Bartlett can explain it better than I can.
I think what we were talking about, and we didn't come to a decision at that time, Counselor, was we had people with no water service that were using our dumpster services and our sewer services without a valid water account. Is that what we're talking about? So we had talked about putting something in to where they would need an open account.
I think,
Is that,
yeah, but I think that we need to look at, because there's already a section in the solid waste ordinance that talks about who must have a sanitation account and stuff like that. So I don't want to create a conflict or redundancy there. So maybe we should check that, because I recall it wasn't consistent between the two, and that may have been the reason why that was struck.
Can we do like we did with the 52, Section 9, and just refer it to the solid waste if it makes sense?
I don't know if that answers it or not. I just thought that we had that in there. I think knowing that folks may have their own water well and not use city water, but they should be using solid waste.
Solid waste.
And that would be a way of, I don't know, first of all, dumping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
Savino left. I just want to make a note that Counselor Savino left at 5:35. Thank you.
If it's not necessary, that's okay. I just didn't recall that we had actually deleted that, which had been added originally.
I recall that we did, although now it's been enough time, they don't remember exactly why. And I will say that when in our solid waste ordinance and in state statute, I believe it talks about that every single property within the city, whether or not it actually uses the solid waste services, has to pay the dues, because every property benefits from that service. And so that's already somewhere else.
So if it's already somewhere else, then I'll concede to that.
We'll verify that, because we actually talked about that this morning. Thank you for bringing that up, because that was part of our discussion. We thought that had been put in, and then it wasn't in, so we knew we'd be talking about that today.
Well, I'm a real proponent of not duplicating where it's somewhere else, but I just, okay, thank you.
So can we refer to it if we need to later on, just put like you did the other little blurb?
We'll
Check it
answer
out.
this
We'll
question.
look at that.
yeah.
Okay.
And then, Madam Chair, on line 39, I think since we've deleted 2 on line 39, that semicolon or does
Yes.
not need to be there, just a period.
You're right.
Thank you.
Awesome. That's why we have you, Miss Judy. Jason, got anything? Okay. Okay, page 35. We're all good with 35?
Don't have no.
36. Oh, no, wait a minute.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No need to be sorry. That's why we're here.
Well, and my problem is I don't know what my note means, but I said.
That's okay. We'll decipher it.
Moved original 16.8 to chapter 8.
Yes.
Right.
8 to, so that's taken care of.
Yeah, so 16.8 was the removal of nuisances on public property, but discussion was that that's more of a camping issue, so it was moved out. And so
okay.
This now becomes the new section 16-8.
So I guess my question in that is, then we renumbered something, because the next section, 16.9, the smoke-free ordinance, was originally 16.8.
No.
What was it?
Original 16.8 was conduct offensive to public well-being, which you'll see struck out above that.
That's the one above it.
Right, and so the convoluted way this happened was that original 16.8 was struck, then we added in a new 16.8, which was removal of nuisances on public property, and then added a 16.9, which was inspections. Now, we've taken the 16.8 out and put it into the camping, and so inspections become 16.8, and so there's no need to renumber all the subsequent ones, because we've deleted a 16.8, and now there's a new 16.8, and everything stays the same after that.
Okay. I was just concerned about numbering and referring back to old numbers, but okay, never mind. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. So now we're on to 36. Mr. Mike has nothing. Miss Judy, we'll give you a minute to think about it. Miss Angela?
Yeah.
No? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering if on line 31, number 4, comply and respect the D. Johnson Clean Air Act, NMSA, yada, yada. I'm just wondering if that's ever been amended. Did we look into that? I mean, I don't know whether it has or not, but
I want to say that we did in the very first meeting, I think that was on our notes, that Parker looked through there but I won't speak for him.
Yeah, it looks to still be good. I'm looking at it right now.
thank you.
Yeah.
No, so it's not.
It's still 2416-1 is still the D. Johnson Clean
16.
Indoor Air
Okay,
Act.
thank you. That's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. So we'll go on to page 37. There's no red line in it, so I assume it's going to be all good. Okay. Page 38, 39, 40. 41 has red lines on it. Mr. Matthews, are you good with 40? We're good. You're good? Miss Judy?
I'm fine.
Okay. Angela, you good?
I would just point out that the key point, we talked about this afternoon or this morning when we were meeting on line 35, the exceptions to the noise ordinance in residential zoned districts. So that isn't precluding a business that something happened and they need to use a generator, or something like that. We're just talking about residential zone districts.
Okay, residential only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
With this sporting events, these are the ones they have to get the permits for, right? To count their one, or they can do it.
In
Is it by
residential,
permit only?
if it was in a residential zone location, we looked on the map today. There's not any. The parks and stuff are zoned RS, or not RS, PR, Parks and Recreation, so they're not zoned residential. So we couldn't find any locations where that would actually pertain to it.
Okay. Okay, 41 is good. Move on to 42. We do have some red on that. Miss Judy?
Yes, thank you. I do have something here on line 21. City attorney, I think that's supposed to be city manager.
Yeah, I think you're right. That should be city manager. That's one I missed.
And it's okay, Parker.
Yeah, we'll let you miss that.
You're entitled to this
That's
one, you know.
And then I'm just wondering on the next couple lines where we're talking about the urban development law, shouldn't that be cited in NMS, or no, that's SA?
Yes, it is, and I think that
I've got 34643, I don't know if
yes,
that's
I
right.
think that sounds right. Yeah, this whole section is taken out of that urban development law. It's all pretty much exactly how it is in the statute. So that can be
It seems to me there should be a reference to it.
Yes, we can
Just
put
parentheses or whatever.
we can put that.
And
Yeah.
then I'm questioning, again, on the same page 42, we have B1 and C1 with no 2. And I don't like that,
Right.
because I'm old school.
And that's how it is in the ordinance. I don't know whether that's how it is in the statute, but
Oh, well,
we
I don't know.
can take that out though.
I
The numbering is
would.
not important.
Yeah, just take those numbers out.
Yes, ma'am, we can do that.
Okay, that's it on that page, thank you.
So let's go on to 43. Everybody's good with 43?
No,
Okay. Rock on, Miss Judy.
on line 13, yeah, on line 13 again, it says city attorney,
Oh, no.
and they both should be capitalized, city manager.
He's trying to give him more
I'm taking his stuff away.
Yeah.
And then I'm questioning up on the first couple lines, 1, 2, and 3, if that shouldn't, we're talking about who we serve, and what about the people that are renting or living in the facility?
That's the statutory language.
So
Of who
it
to-
doesn't need to be added that,
we could add it, but as of right now, by the statute granting us this power, it's not required.
I guess maybe all parties in interest in the dwelling would include the tenant, if there were someone.
And all parties in interest in that dwelling would include a tenant, yeah, I
Okay.
would say so.
Okay. Then again, I'm just being ugly on line 20. Is unfit for human consumption. It shall state in writing, and scratch his. It should state in writing findings of fact.
Which line are you on?
20.
You're taking out his?
Oh, yes, because it's the city council. Yes, correct. Yes, thank you.
It shall state and scratch the his. Thank you. That's it.
Wow, okay. Miss Angela? Good? I'd like your microphone on, please. Thank you.
I'm reading at the end of 42 where it says, starting at, I'm trying to go from where you take out this red to the right, and it's not making sense to me. It says, the city manager shall, if a preliminary investigation discloses a basis for their charges, issue and cause to be served. Is there a word missing or something? Do you see where you took out all the red? I'm trying to, I think there's some, I don't know, maybe I'm just not literate.
Are you on page 42?
The bottom of 42, I started on 43, and then I read all the way through the lines 1 and 2 that she just discussed.
If the owner fails to comply with an order to remove or demolish the dwelling, the city manager may cause the dwelling to be removed and demolished?
No. We're at D, on the bottom of 42.
Oh, at the bottom of 42, excuse me.
Yeah, see how you
Yes.
took out all the red, all the stuff that's scratched out? It says, if you read what's left, shall, if a preliminary investigation discloses a basis for the charges, issue and cause to be served. Is that how that's supposed to read?
Yes, okay.
Do you understand what I'm
Whenever
saying?
it appears to the city manager that a dwelling is unfit for human habitation, the city manager shall, if a preliminary investigation discloses the basis for the charges, issue and cause to be served on the owner, every mortgagee of record.
Issue and cause, okay.
Yeah. So if you take out the parentheses, it's the city manager shall issue and cause to be served on the owner, like that.
We're good? Okay, so let's go on to 44. Miss Judy, you're up.
Nope, no, I'm okay for a while.
Oh, sweet. Miss Angela, you're good too? So, well, I didn't even ask Mike. He's just not saying.
good.
You're good? Okay. Page 45. It's all black. Good to me. Miss Judy, you're good?
I'm fine.
Okay,
Thank
Miss
you.
Angela, you're good? Let's go to 46. We have a wee bit of red. Are we good with 46? Mike's good? Judy, you're good? Miss
Yes.
Angela, you're good? Hey, Jason, you're just sitting over there. How about you? You're good? All right. Let's go to 47. We have a little bit of red. on the-
Actually, Madam Chair, I'm good with the rest of it, just so you know.
Sweet. There's like one page left? No.
Nope.
47. You're good with 47? Okay. What about 48? You're good? Angela, if you need something, jump in fast. 49? Getting ready to go. 50, page 50?
Okay, line 8 on page 50, I apologize again. It was our intent last time, and this time we'll get it done, but number 8, remove the red or which does not have a valid vehicle registration or an insurance.
We're removing that
We-
whole line?
We talked about it the last couple meetings, I believe, that we were going to remove that out of there.
That was my fault. I forgot to take that
Yeah,
out.
that's okay.
That's okay. Okay. So is that good with 50?
Mhm.
His last area, it's your last area. You're on probation, dude.
Uh-oh.
Judy, are you good?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, page 51. 51 once, twice. Okay, on to 52. Page 52. We're all good? Okay. Miss Judy, you good? We're
Yes,
moving.
ma'am.
Okay, page 53. 53 is good. 54. Last call for 54. 55. Bingo! We got it. We're done. Mr. Matthews.
Madam Chair, once again, thank you all so much for, we are really, obviously, we're not going to have, we're never going to have a perfect document, but it's our goal, it's our heart to try to have the best possible document we can. We thank you for your patience. We kind of picked this thing up in midstream. It gone through, obviously, a different director was working on this, and so a big thank you to Parker and Bill, and now Kevin, who has jumped right in with us. We're bound and determined we want to get a good product out there. We know it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to do the best we can. And we thank you for your input. I would rather do it in a smaller room, more intimate, to where we can have better discussions, but we're making it work. So I appreciate everybody's input, and we will get a clean copy and a red line copy with these changes that we've made today, and we'll have that ready for the next public safety to review one more time.
Okay. So 5 and 6 are going to come back next month with a clean copy and a red line copy to make sure, and then we will tweak those and move them on to full count. No, do we have more after this? Do we have any more chapters after this? Or
No,
is this it?
this were
Then
the
we can
two
move
that
it
we
on.
were assigned to take on.
Okay, cool. Okay, so non-action items, we have none. Department updates. Does any counselor have any questions about department updates? Ms. Judy, police, fire, we got good information from dispatch today. I'm excited over that. Thank you very much, Ms. Best. What are we supposed to do about the wind, Karen? Do you know how to harness it yet?
Ignore
No? Ignore it. Easier said than done. But we're not horseback, we're good. There you go. Okay, so our next meeting is April 13th. I hope it is not a Friday. So April 13th, and we are adjourned. If there's nothing else, we don't have any public participation that I can tell. So 5:51, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank